Teresa, thank you so much for joining us. Kevin and I are so excited to be able to work with you and to bring this to the real estate industry. And we've heard you speak many times about your passion about this project and what made you start this from the beginning. So I would love everyone to hear your heart and your purpose for why this has all come about to begin with.
Thank you, Sheila, and thank you, Kevin, for this glowing introduction and for having me here. And thank you to everyone watching these videos at home. Super appreciate your interest in this subject. And this project was definitely for the love of the industry. I don't think anyone goes into something this massive just out of sanity, right? Like, this is something because there are so many changes that are happening in the real estate industry. And it's really important for the practitioners to know what all of this technology means for us as we practice real estate, but really for the benefit of the consumer and our clients to be able to properly take care of them. So Consortia follows all kinds of rules as we make this project and we go into Web 3.0. So we advise on SEC policy, regulations, and compliance. RESPA, of course, is huge when we're dealing with 1 to 4 units, which is most of our clientele in residential real estate. We are guided by the principles of RESPA and the laws. And then also good funds laws, because now we're starting to deal with the movement of money as we touch on cryptocurrency in Web 3.0. So it's really important that everything we do follows all of these laws. Because if we don't, there are serious consequences because we are all licensed professionals, and we just need to make sure that what we do with this new innovative technology does not jeopardize our clients or the licenses and the way that we practice real estate.
Yeah, I love the way you describe it, is that your goal is to protect the industry and protect the practitioner. Because your goal is to make sure that the real estate agent is still in the middle of the transaction. You're a real estate broker. And at the same time, you're looking from the industry as a whole of how do we move this industry into the future correctly, compliantly, and in a way that helps all of us be able to operate at a much higher level. So I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can just tell a quick story.
I would love for you to tell a story.
Okay, so about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was sitting at the Managers Council in San Francisco. So when I first became a broker about a decade ago, practicing broker, I started at the Managers Council and then I left because I thought, wow, this is a really fierce room of people. And then I watched my youngest son play soccer, and he's just so tough. And now he's a goalie in lacrosse, and he is just fierce. And I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this. So 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was at Managers Council, and some of the brokers who have built San Francisco from the ground up. They have built one of the most solid real estate markets in the world, bar none. And they were kind of arguing about very basic technology, such as like data sharing and emails, which is critical in how we function in real estate. And I usually sit quietly, politely in the back of the room and then finally I piped up as probably the youngest person in the room, and I said, wait a second. If we don't address technology, if we don't own this now, there will be no Managers Council in 30 years from now. There will be no industry. And so when we built Consortia from the very beginning, we put blockchain and we tied it part and parcel with the practitioner. So that's with the real estate agent, the broker, the mortgage companies, and the title companies. We don't want to circumvent anyone. We want to keep them as part of the transaction. And then I got a lot of coaching on this topic, a lot of it from Alan Dalton. And he said, Teresa, it's not about the practitioner staying in the middle of the transaction. It has to be about doing what's right for the consumer. And it took about 10 hours of coaching for me to really understand what he was talking about. And what's essential, the essential takeaway from that is to know what is good for the consumer. And if we protect them, keeps us relevant in the transaction. And I think in my mind, when I changed that, when I had that paradigm shift, and I always do what's right for the client, like I try to, as we all do, but to really make that the focus of Consortia, everything changed. Because then we've made this as a platform that does good for anyone who comes into the system. And at the front of that is the consumer.
Amazing. So I would love for you to take a minute and kind of drill down into Consortia. And let's talk about what Consortia is and just really help everybody see your vision of what you've been working on and creating.
Yeah, well, consortia, I don't know if we would have created a consumer-facing product with that name had all the better names been available on the internet. And so then we really dove into, okay, what are some of the overarching concepts in blockchain? And the thing that we kept coming back to as founders was the idea of a consortium. So a consortium is a gathering and a consensus between people who influence a certain area, topic, discipline, or industry.
Right.
And so consortia was then named Real Estate Consortia, and then we were advised to drop the name real estate because we want to be open to anything that comes into our future. And so the consortium is there to gain insights from all the different players. And what that means in organized real estate is to speak with and to get influence from the agents and the brokers, the title and the mortgage companies. And so, and capital markets. This is a tool to solve for the demands, the compliance demands, and regulatory demands of capital markets. And so that's who we've brought to the table to create this, not just this training, but the product and the solutions that have become consortia today.
I'm super excited for all of you to hear all the things that Teresa's been working on all of these years, and we're going to dive into that as we go through the classes.